Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and welcome back. This time I really mean it. Welcome back to our live stream. So our arrival in Basel didn't quite go as expected. In the meantime, I did a little bit of analyzing the problem with my friends in Discord, and it seems that the problem back then has been that little ditch we had in front of the gate caused a spike in VRAM usage, therefore overloading my Streamlabs and therefore killing both the frame rate and the live stream. Now, I did use a little bit of the time to get right back into our flight here, and I found out that unfortunately the entire parking area in Basel is surrounded by that ditch. In other words, there is no way we can depart from that airport again. So, if you've been wondering why all of a sudden I promised an EasyJet livestream and suddenly we are sitting here in a Eurowings Airbus A319, well, there is your reason. And I thought, well, before I'm going to start with all that troubleshooting and stuff, I might as well just simply load us up in Düsseldorf, because Düsseldorf is both staffed with air traffic control and close enough to our close enough to Berlin that we can get back into the VATSIM event. So I thought, well, we'd just do a flight with VATSIM ATC then, and it's been a while since I've flown the 319. I want to fly it again, so might as well do it. Alright, and that's how we ended up where we are right now, about to do a Eurowings A319 relops from Düsseldorf to Berlin. So, let's discuss the situation. We are assuming that we have just taken this airplane over. We are Berlin-based crew members, so we've had a layover here in Düsseldorf, and we've just taken over this plane to fly it back to our home base in Berlin. So, getting on board the airplane in transit state over here, we are going to start with some of the basics, and I did quickly create a flight plan for you guys on SimBrief, so let's go ahead and have a look into that one. Now, I have to admit that I think I messed up the flight plan a little bit over here, because the real world flight plan right now is Eurowings 10 X-Ray. Unfortunately, that call sign is in use on VATSIM, so we gotta take a slightly different one, and that's gonna be the Eurowings 2 Charlie, which flies on the same flies on the very same route. So Eurowings 2 Charlie, let me quickly amend my SimBrief flight plan so that it reflects the correct call sign, and then we can get going. So while all of that is ongoing, let's go ahead and re-import the flight plan, and I tell you what, we'll just make our lives easy. We're going to have a look at the plan in our browser. I think that's just the easiest option over here. So let's pull up our plan. Come on. Here it is. So that's what it looks like, and it should be a fairly easy one right now. And oh god, I'm just looking into my Streamlabs and it tells me that frames are getting cut out again. I forgot, it's Düsseldorf. Düsseldorf has a very high VRAM usage anyway. Fuck's sake, okay. Well, we're going to try this. Either it works or it doesn't. So, if you guys are missing out on something here, which I can already tell you are, well, we'll try this. If it's not working, it's not working, okay? I can't promise anything here. That's just the stupid simulator. So I suppose we're just gonna go over any of this. Let's just get started here. So 4.7 plus our taxi fuel, yeah, give me 5.1. That gives us a little bit of extra for the event. Should be fine. So fuel 5,100. My apologies for my motivation, gentlemen. It's just when GSX is fucking up, when the sim itself is fucking up, you can tell what that's doing to my motivation. Now, HMS Daring 1 asks in the comments, do you think it's feasible to have an A330 type rating at the same time as the A320? Yeah, absolutely. Airbus even intends for that to be the case. So, very quick initial performance calculation here. We'll take Lima 1 figures. Actually, tell you what, let's take Lima 3, just in case. And performance limiting takeoff weight is no problem at all, so we are easy going. Okay, so charts, we should already have some automatically pinned, and no, we don't have the departure. Okay, so that's gonna be 2-3 left, south, and east, I think. Nope. Then 2-3 left, northwest. Yeah, northwest. Okay, good. Then we're gonna pin that one. Alright, so starting with the safety inspection, we got the engine master levers in off, engine mode selector norm, weather radar is off, landing gear lever down, wipers off. We are running on the APU, which is probably going to get rather expensive, but it's pretty cold outside, 4 degrees, so I suppose that is fine as well. So boarding is going to start soon, but refueling is still in progress. We are going to reset the IRS, 1, 2, and 3, APU fire test. Is looking good. Alright, so for our aircraft's technical status, A319, no automatic nothing go around on this one, and we've got nothing special. Let's do a recall here for 3 seconds. 2 and 3. Alright, recall is normal, takeoff calculation is done, oxygen pressure is good, hydraulic quantities are good, engine oil is full, that looks perfect. Alright, beautiful. Then let's start with the cockpit preparation procedure, and yeah, if I'm going over this a little bit more quickly than usual, that's just because I want to make it in time for the VATSIM event, so bear with me for that one. Fire test number 1 is good, fire test number 2 is also good. Perfect, right hand side is all set up. Then let's go down into the FMS, ATSU, and we need the ALC menu. Come on. Flight init and data request. And interesting, you guys are saying the mic is still a problem. Really shouldn't be. Okay, let me turn it down a little bit further even. How's that? Is that any better now? So, ATIS, Echo Delta Delta Lima, departure, VATSIM, sent. Let's see what we're gonna get. Oh, 3 load sheets. Because why not? So, that's probably the latest, and that actually looks good. We can accept this. Alright, so, ATIS, information, Bravo, 2-3 left in use, and QNH 1013, which we got up here. Perfect. So that's all looking good. I'm just not going to set anything down here yet. Why is that thing on? It shouldn't be on. Alright, anyway, down here everything's set, right side is set, and then we can start with our FMS setup. So, aircraft status 319-100, NavDB is up to date. Then let's do a flight plan request. And here we are. Okay, Eurowings to Charlie. Cost index 15, flight level 350. Departure 2-3 left, Mayville for Tango, insert, Berlin arrival, probably 2-4 left with a Zulu approach. And we are coming in from Okba via the Okba 1 Lima arrival. And you have no via, please. Alright, insert. Secondary flight plan. Should be Düsseldorf emergency 3 from Düsseldorf 2-3 left, runway heading 230 and 25 miles. Insert store. Secondary flight plan, copy paste, Düsseldorf emergency 3. With a holding 230 inbound right hand turns and immediate return back to Düsseldorf. Arrival ILS 23 left. Perfect. Alright, so fix info. We'll need Düsseldorf 23 left again. Runway track 230. Emergency waypoint Düsseldorf X3. Now for our init, or for our performance initialization, let's see what we've gotten in our preliminary load sheet. 56.2 and the trim of 30. Alright, fuel should be 5.1, I think. Yeah, 5.1. Like that, and then we need some fuel figures down here, so alternate 1.3 and final 1 and route reserve 0.3. Alright, leaves us with 4 minutes extra. That's not a lot, but absolutely fine. Flap 2 takeoff at 77 degrees. And the speeds 32, 32, 36. Alright, the rest of the figures is looking good, that stuff is looking good, and I think that's it. Alright, beautiful, so everything is programmed down here. Then let's go ahead and cross-check our SID real quick. And guys, I will be answering your questions in a few moments. I just really want to get airborne so that we arrive with ATC. Once that is assured, I'm all in the chat again. Hope you can understand that. Alright, so straight ahead, Delta Lima 230 above 600, Delta Lima 235, maximum 190 knots. Then we got Delta Lima 248, Aircom, Lusix, and Mavel. Perfect. And that's everything we need down here. Refueling is finished, 5.1, so seatbelts on and fuel pumps also on. Alright, good. So, initial climb is 5,000 on this one. So we'll set 5.1 until clearance is received, and all the rest is set. Perfect. Then let's go ahead and call delivery for our IFR clearance. And I think at the moment that's 12178. Düsseldorf Delivery, schönen guten Abend, Eurowings to Charlie. Information, irgendeine aktuelle, Request IFR Clearance to Berlin.
Eurowings to Charlie, Düsseldorf Delivery.
Information Bravo.
To Charlie, here to Berlin, level 4 Tango departure, flight and route, climb first into altitude 5,000 feet, go 1,000.
Eurowings to Charlie, information Charlie is on board, cleared to Berlin, Mabel 4 Tango departure, flight and route, climb 5,000, squawk 1,000.
Charlie is very correct.
Alright, wonderful. So, Mabel 4 Tango, that's 23 left, confirmed. Initial climb, then altitude 5,000 and squawk 1,000. Like this, perfect. Boarding is still in progress, then let's go ahead with our briefing, please. So, we're departing Düsseldorf, 23 left, Mabel 4 Tango, climbing 5,000, MSA 2.4, and extra fuel and time is 4 minutes, 100 kilos. We're departing with no hotspots for the taxi routing, and we've got a stop margin of, let's see, 496 meters, engine out, sit straight at 25 miles, Düsseldorf emergency 3, climbing 3000, immediate return, right hand pattern, Düsseldorf's runway 23 left is open. We're below the maximum landing weight, and we've got, well, nothing special, nothing non-standard, and I've got no threats. Do you? No? Okay, beautiful, so that's a briefing completed. In that case, cockpit preparation checklist, please. Earpins and covers removed. Fuel quantity 5090 kilos balanced. Seatbelts on. ADIRS. Nav. Barrel ref. QNH 1013. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. And AM. If the controller is nice to me, I'm nice to him. Alright, so. Lucas de Munter, interesting question there. Hey Manuel, must you as pilot always dial in managed speed when taking off? Yeah, that's Airbus SOP to do that. You can, however, pre-select the speed that you can use once you become airborne, but there is a better method to do that. That's down here on the climb page, where you can just pre-select something down here. And that's a little bit easier than if you dial something up over here, which is not standard Airbus SOP to do. So standard SOP would be to pre-select it down here. Alright, so how's the boarding going? Oh, a couple more passengers to go. It should only take a few minutes. Okay, cool. So we're done with everything up here. See, guys? Yes, that's how quickly you can set up an Airbus. That's really how quickly you can do this. Loving it. Okay, is there anything more we can do? Not really. Throttle Nomad asked a little bit earlier, do you own the Thrustmaster Boeing yoke? If so, what do you think? I do own it, and it is a nice yoke for your flight simulation experience. Feels a bit like a Boeing, moves a bit like a Boeing, but it doesn't have the complete range of movement like the Boeing. So, overall, it's a nice thing to use. And ASAP, the QNH is actually 1013 today. And Charlie, my line check went very well. There were no points where the instructor complained. I mean, there's always something, and to be honest, I did have a little bit of fun with one of the controllers on the frequency, which obviously the checker had to remark. I knew that before I did it though, so that was fine. No, it was a very, very nice line check, and yeah, there isn't much more to say about that. It was a very enjoyable check. And starts with F. How do you get the departure information on the screen in front of you at the terminal? That's part of GSX. So GSX synchronizes with SimBrief. The only problem is, in the real world, that data is supplied by air traffic control. So the SID and the runway you see would be reliable information. Unfortunately, that's not the case in the simulator. In the simulator, that just comes from SimBrief. If the controller gives you something different, you're screwed. Gotta rely on what the controllers do, not what you see up there. And polyatoms, the MFRA is given to you in the performance tool. So that's calculated in the takeoff performance tool. So according to this, boarding is completed. Then let's say hello to our guests. Liebe Fluggäste, einen wunderschönen guten Abend aus dem Cockpit. Hier spricht Ihr Kapitän. Mein Name ist Emanuel im Namen der Eurowings. Darf ich Sie ganz herzlich an Bord unseres A319 auf diesem Flug nach Berlin begrüßen. Die Flugzeit heute 50 Minuten und sobald jetzt die letzten Frachttüren geschlossen sind, werden wir uns auf den Weg machen in Richtung Berlin. Vielen Dank, dass Sie heute unsere Gäste sind. Wir melden uns dann im Anflug mit den neuesten Wetterinformationen noch einmal bei Ihnen. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emanuel. In the name of Eurowings, I would like to welcome you aboard our Airbus A319 on our flight to Berlin. The expected flight time today is approximately 50 minutes, expecting a smooth flight. Now, we've just closed the last doors and are finishing up the last paperwork. As soon as we're on the way, Then we will get back to you with the latest weather when we start the approach. Thank you for your attention, and again, welcome on board. Alright, passengers are catered for. Let's do the performance. Flow sheet 56.2, and that's accurate. 150 plus 5, 61.6 takeoff weight is checked, and the CG is 30, that's also checked, and we can accept this. Eurowings to Charlie, request startup.
Eurowings to Charlie, startup approved, to position, contact ground, 1-6055.
Startup approved, 1-605, Eurowings to Charlie, just. Alright, so, get me ready please. So down here everything's done, then let's talk to ground. Ground from flight deck. Go ahead. Please confirm all doors and hatches closed, ground equipment removed, and bypass pin is installed. That's all confirmed. Roger, then we are good to go in a moment. We'll call for clearance now. And as always, I forgot to insert the trim figure. In the real world, the trim is delivered to us on the load sheet, so we don't have to look into here. So up 0.4. That's why I keep forgetting to do it in the sim. Okay. Düsseldorf ground, hello, Eurowings to Charlie, request pushback.
Eurowings to Charlie, Düsseldorf ground. Guten Abend. Pushback approved, face west onto Tango.
Pushback approved, west onto Tango, Eurowings to Charlie. So before start checklist. Park and brake, set, takeoff speeds and thrust. V1 132, VR 132, V2 136, flex 77. Windows closed, beacon on, before start checklist complete. Ground from flight deck. Ground from flight deck. So pushback approved, facing west on Tango. And we're standing by for you. It's interesting, GSX doesn't seem to be connecting by themselves anymore. But okay, please go ahead and lift us up so that we can actually start the pushback. No, we don't need to de-ice. So, facing west on Tango, here we go. So release park and brake. Park and brake release, clear to push. Start the pushback. And Elton, yes, exactly. We get the exact trim figure, so for example, up 0.4 on the load sheet and not just the CG. And Throttle Nomad, our approach speeds in the 120s, normal in the A330-200. Yeah, absolutely. Even with a full passenger load, 125 knots it is. Alright then, the pushback will be a little bit longer, as we are standing right in the alley over here, and he's pushing us all the way onto here on Tango, facing west. So, behind the Condor. For that reason we can delay the engine start a bit, until we are actually way back over here. And I tell you what guys, you guys asked me to do single engine taxi out on the EasyJet stream, so why not do it on this one? That way we can delay the engine start even more. And IV230, hello there, first time I come here in the stream, and first time I see the Phoenix A319 too, only bought the 320 for now, but only for now. Well, welcome to the live stream, and yeah, the 19 and 21 are a really interesting aircraft, especially the A319, because it has so little drag that it's really interesting to slow her down on the approach. So absolutely worth having a look at that one, and absolutely worth sticking around on the stream to see the approach and landing as well then. And just going up in the chat a bit, may I ask what you did to the poor controller in the line check? You may ask, but I think I better shouldn't answer that one. No, we were just having a little bit of fun because of a SunExpress 737 that blocked our gate. We landed like half an hour early, and we already thought like, okay, so we can be in our cars on the way back home. by scheduled on block, and then the controller was like, yeah, no, there's a broken 737 up there at your gate. And I'm like, oh yeah, I flew those shitholes for 5 years, and yeah, I absolutely confirm that they break regularly. The controller was just having a good time, laughing his ass off. But the pilots of the 737 were on the frequency as well. And they were like, yeah, your buses break down all the time as well. I told them, yep, but I can fix it by turning it off and on again. And VR Jelly, hi, as a real pilot, how close to reality would you say the Phoenix planes are? Oh, pretty close. Not 100% perfect, but let's say 95%. They're pretty good. A couple of things you could enhance on the sounds, especially taxi sound-wise. You could add things like vibration of the panels on takeoff roll and stuff like that, but overall they're doing pretty well. And Elton, why do you do thrust bleed when you do single engine taxi out? That's to start the engine, to restart the remaining engine, even though we also use APU bleed for that. But we want to cover both packs, and we want to be able to start the second engine without having to increase thrust on the remaining one. Okay, so I think we're getting pretty close to the end of our pushback. Then let's go ahead and actually start some engines here. So, ground flight, we're starting engine number 1. Engine 1 start. And Captain Overspeed, that's a nice name. Hi, nice to see you. Adam, could I do a comparison between the Tolus A320neo and Phoenix A320neo? Well, let's first wait for the Phoenix to come out, then we'll talk. So, come on, you can complete the pushback now. So, pushback completed, please set park and brake. Park and brake set, and we've got a good engine start. Please prepare the airplane for taxi. See you with a clear signal on the left side, and have a good day. Bye-bye. Alright, so that is done. Then let's go ahead and do the after start procedures, respectively the single engine taxi out guideline, please. So, when engine 1 is stabilized, thrust bleed open, air thrust bleed open, APU bleed off, GSX window blocking the click spot. Here we go, APU bleed is off, APU keep running, after start normal procedure except ecam status apply. Okay. And the trim should be 0.4, let's see, 29%, excellent. Great. Okay, before releasing the park and brake, yellow electric pump on. And that's the single engine taxi out guideline complete for now. Eurowings to Charlie, request taxi.
Eurowings to Charlie, taxi to holding point, runway 23 left via Lima 5, Mike, Lima 1.
Taxi to holding point 23 left via Lima 5, Mike, Lima 1, Eurowings to Charlie. So, right, full length. Clear left side, clear right side. Brake released, let's go. Brake check. Pressure 0. So Lima 5 is right over here. And then right onto Mike to the full length. Left side is clear. Let's keep the ground speed in check. 10 knots, please. Like this.
Eurowings to Charlie, contact Düsseldorf Tower on 118.305. Tschüss, schönen Flug.
118.305, Eurowings to Charlie, just. Hello, Eurowings to Charlie.
Eurowings to Charlie, Düsseldorf Tower, hallo.
Come on, airplane, start accelerating, please. Okay, so let's start the second engine, please. So, for engine to start, and when taxiing in a straight line, yellow electric pump off. That's off. APU bleed on. On. Start selector after 10 seconds to ignition start, so let's first of all give it 10 seconds. Here we go, and engine start selector, well, that way around.
Eurowings to Charlie, the wind 200 degrees, 10 knots. Runway 23 left, clear for takeoff. Ich weiß nicht, ciao, ciao.
Runway 23 left, clear for takeoff, Eurowings to Charlie, Dankeschön, tschüss. So 1228 is already pre-selected, the engine is now starting. So we're cleared via Lima 1, that means we go to the full length. And here we go, number 2 is running. And number 2 is stabilized. So starting the timer for 2 minutes, then start selector norm, APU off. Okay, cross bleed auto, after start normal procedure apply, and then we can do the flight control check. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral. We know that the rudder works because we're going through turns all the time already. So then, auto brake to max, and taxi checklist please. I got no changes to the briefing.
Approaching 2, 3, left.
So, clear on the approach, and we're clear to line up and take off. So 10 knots and taxi checklist. Flight controls checked, flap setting, config 2, radar and predictive wind shear on and
runway,
auto.
2, 3, left.
Engine mode selector, norm and ECAM, takeoff, no blue. Taxi checklist complete. Cabin crew, please take your seats for departure. Line up checklist, takeoff runway 23 left full length, TCAS, Tara, PEX 1 and 2, off, lineup checklist complete. We're at 1:35, so I just need to wait 30 seconds. Eurowings 2 Charlie, we need 20 seconds over here, is that okay?
No problem.
Danke. Eurowings 2 Charlie is ready now.
Eurowings to Charlie, runway 23 left, clear for takeoff, wind 200 degrees, 11 knots.
23 left, clear for takeoff, Eurowings 2 Charlie. Alright, takeoff. Stabilized. Man flag 77, SRS, runway auto thrust blue. Thrust set. .100 knots, checked. V1, rotate. Positive climb, gear up. Nav, checked. Thrust climb, climb, auto thrust. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. So, 190 knots restriction on the first turn. And over to Honeycomb, as there is nobody online right now. But don't worry, we'll be flying in within controlled airspace soon again. So let's continue the climb here. For now we'll take level 140 at first. And that's 14,000 blue. Alright, passing Delta Lima 235, flap 0. Speed checked, flaps 0. Yeah, pack 2 off, you'll get that in a second. Here we go. So, acceleration flow pattern, flaps up, spoilers retracted, gear up, and packs auto. Complete. So, set standard. Standard cross check, passing flight level 51 now. Checked. I love the pure power of the Airbus A319. And since we are climbing that fast, let's go direct to Mayville. Alright, Mayville, direct to insert. Engine anti-ice on. Engine anti-ice is on. Alrighty. Autopilot 1. With that, we've made it up in the air. So that was a pretty quick departure. I just really wanted to be sure that we make it to Berlin in time for the event. And looking at that, currently it says 10 past, but I'm sure we'll be able to make up for those 10 minutes. So, cost NX 100. After all, getting there on time is all that counts for now. And look at that, 4 minutes made up, and the rest we will make up on the arrival itself, on the transition. So I'm sure this is going to be a successful one, arriving with air traffic control on board. In the meantime, going through level 100, so lights off, and I think we... Yeah, we'll keep the anti-ice for a second here. But signs off, and then we go for airports. Clear and copy, please. So, cruising 3D, what does that look like on our route? Yeah, should be fine if we go to level 370. So why not? Cruising 370. Alright, then let's go ahead and climb all the way up there. Flight level 370 blue. Alright, and we should stay clear of clouds now. Engine anti-ice off. Yes, off. Perfect. So, up and on the way again. My apologies for all the delays, and for that little bit of buffeting that we had on our departure. Looking into my Streamlabs, I can once again see what caused that. And it was really simply the VRAM being overloaded by Düsseldorf Airport. That used to be a problem with Sim Update 3. They fixed it with the initial Sim Update 4, but now it seems the problem is back. So what happens is that the VRAM that's required from the add-on airport was so much that my streaming tool did not have enough VRAM left to actually process the stream properly. That's why a couple of frame rates were dropped. For example, it told me that on the takeoff roll there were 50% of the frames actually dropped. And yeah, well, this should be better now that we're en route and now that it should use less, that it should now use less memory. Okay, so, Luca, can I look up regarding a question for the jump seat? Let's see. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Luca, I'm flying with Air Cairo in December. Do you reckon it's worth sending an email kindly asking for the jump seat, or is there no point? There's no point for that. The law is very strict there. If you send them an email, they'll give you a nice answer. Thank you very much for being interested. It's not allowed. Because that's really what it is. There is not much an airline can do about that. So, Throttle Nomad, just seeing your question over there. Contemplating if I should go for the fully integrated ATPL in Locarno. 33 years old, but I've had panic attacks in the past. Never under pressure though, and never while operating any vehicle. Thoughts? Well, find a local aeromedical examiner and talk to them. They will be able to tell you anything about your medical condition, and that's really the only basis I would use for deciding on whether it's worth trying to go for the license or not. So talk to a local aeromedical examiner, see if you can get the medical. If you can get the medical, then I would say, yeah, go for it. And IV230, have I considered using FS2 Crew? I have considered it, and I have decided against it, because FS2 Crew is very, very rigid in its SOPs. FS2 Crew is basically built like a theater play. Everyone has their plot, and as long as everyone does exactly what is expected next, that's fine. The only problem is that there is no single one plot in real-world aviation. There is, of course, the standard operating procedure of your aircraft, which obviously has to be followed, But there are so many possible deviations within that standard operating procedure, which FS2 Crew cannot manage. And that's why I'm really not a huge fan of it for my personal way of flying. Now, I figure that for the average flight simmer, this is quite different. Because for the average flight simmer, the SOP that FS2 Crew provides is probably complex enough already. But in terms of operating 100% on the real-world standard, FS2 Crew does not give me some of the options that I would normally need. And Trilaga, what would you recommend? How should I pay the airline license? I guess you mean the airline pilot license. Well, there are many ways for that. What I did personally was to work in computer flight simulation for a couple of years while saving as much money as I could. And then I was, within that time, also doing my private pilot license in a club already, so that I could save a little bit of money there, and ultimately I've been able to pay for my entire license myself. But you know, others are in other situations, so look into your current situation in your life and see where can you possibly save some money, or how can you afford financing for such a license. There are different ways. You just gotta explore which one suits your personal situation best. Let's go ahead and turn on a little bit of light here as well. Alright, and put the seat about as far back as possible, like that. So this is what a normal flight would look like. And Paul, I'm not allowed to share anything that is not public yet in regards to the PMD G737 FS24. Gigi, which flap setting to use on a short runway in the A319? Well, enter optimum in the tool, see what it gives you. Alton, am I 100% sure that my airline or some other, if they don't have 320s, uses crossbleed when single engine taxi out, or could it be that it is a thing on the A330? No, I am 100% sure about that, because I am using the guideline from the actual EQRH from my airline for that. So yeah, I am 100% sure on that. Konali, what is in my opinion the better flap system? Only 4 fixed positions like Airbus, many different degree positions like Boeing, or even dial a flap like McDonnell Douglas did, and why? Okay, so that's a very good question. I'd say number 1, that it doesn't matter. At least not in terms of how you can fly the airplane, but number 2, I would say that the fewer settings you have, the better it probably is. And the reason would be that you have less possibility to mess up, and that it is simple. So in my Airbus, I simply, you know, I've got 5 settings available, including the 0 position. So I simply set the one that I want, and that's it. Now, looking at an opposite example, for example the 737, where you've got many more flap settings, how many of them do you actually use? 1, 5, 15, landing. So that's 5 settings, even though you have many more available, but if you don't use them, what's the sense? Of course, you could do a little bit of optimization, you know. In some occasions you can go flaps 2 because you want to avoid the drag of 5. Is that going to make a big difference? No. Does that make a small difference? Maybe a kilo of fuel or 2 per approach? Maybe. Is that worth it with a worldwide fleet of 9,000 aircraft? Probably. But in terms of flying, I would say it doesn't make much of a difference to me. So, economy from Maastricht, 122,185. Abend, Eurowings to Charlie, level 278, climbing 370.
Eurowings to Charlie, Maastricht, hello, direct Battelle, climb speed 7.
Red Battelle, climbing 370, Eurowings to Charlie. So, direct Battelle with the beams, insert.
And
Dallin, have I tried the Winwing Ursa minor stick and how does it compare to the real one? I have tried it. It, I would say, feels very similar to the real one in terms of the shape and the way that it moves, but I think it doesn't move far enough, like it should tilt a couple degrees more. But I would say for the price point at which it comes, it's a very, very good stick.
Good evening, Lufthansa Team Juliet.
Turtle, Autobrake Max is not meant to be used for landing. Only low and medium, and if you really need maximum braking, then go for maximum manual braking. Captain Overspeed, settle something for me please. In America we love wing lights and use them up to 18,000 feet. Why do most EU operators choose not to use them as much? That's quite simple. So, the reason you use them up to 18,000 is because in the States VFR traffic is permitted up to 18,000 and even at night. Now, does that make much sense? In my opinion, not. Tell me, when you're flying, can you actually see the wing lights of an airplane? You cannot. You can see the landing lights, you can see the strobes. I don't recall seeing even the nav lights often, and the wing lights are even weaker than those. The wing lights are designed by the manufacturers to be able to see the leading edges so that you can see if there's any ice forming on the leading edges of the wing. They're not designed to improve visibility to other aircraft. Now, operators in the States see that differently. I kinda get that, yeah, if you're in a country where VFR traffic is allowed up to 18,000 feet, where you're going 400 knots true airspeed, then you want to be as visible as possible. But from my personal experience flying in the States, you know, it doesn't improve visibility, so I don't see the point in it. And I'm not 100% sure how the rules are on using your transponder VFR in the States, but in Europe, when you're flying more than 5,000 feet AGL, you are required to have your transponder on, so then you'll be protected by TCAS anyway. Now ASAP, how safe do you view the Air Force to be? I heard some people go through the Air Force and then become commercial pilots. Well, yeah, many people do that. Now, the Air Force is a way to get your training without any cost. On the other hand side, you got to know that if the shit hits the fan, you'll have to shoot people. So, you want to do that? If yes, then the Air Force may be an option for you. And JJ, VFR in Europe is definitely not up to flight level 195, flight level 100. Now, you can go all the way up to flight level 600 if you request clearance to enter airspace Charlie from the air traffic controller. Now there are some countries where the Class Echo airspace goes up to like flight level 130. That's mostly over the Alps, so Austria, Switzerland. But as soon as you enter airspace Charlie, which is basically above level 100 in most of Europe, you will need a clearance from air traffic control. And then they have to provide separation anyway, so then it's not your problem anymore. And Yannick, isn't it 3000 MSL or 3000 AGL? Yeah, you might be right on that. And Elton, from your PPL theory in air law, rules in Sweden is maximum permitted flight altitude for visual flight is level 195, but it's possible to apply for a permit to fly higher. Okay, we gotta make one difference here. And we got 1000 to go. So Mach vertical speed. So we gotta make one difference. That's at which point does air traffic control have to provide separation? Because that is the entire issue with VFR traffic at high altitudes. At high altitudes, airliners fly fast. That makes seeing and avoiding almost impossible. And as long as ATC has to provide separation, aka when you're going into airspace Charlie, then there's no problem. So the level 100 I was referencing is basically for the level that ATC, or for the level where ATC doesn't have to provide separation, but where you actually have to rely purely on seeing and avoiding. On cruise?
Frequency 125, that's 75.
And ASAP, I'm not using any tools like Volanta or any of the others. Christopher, can you ever use reverse thrust to maneuver on the ground? Well, depends on the airplane. Some aircraft, it's allowed. Airbus, no. Boeing, no. So, how do you put that best? I would say that there is one situation in which the reversers can kind of be used to help controlling the plane on the ground, or you might call it maneuvering if you want to, and that's when you are landing with a crosswind on a contaminated runway. The friction of the wheels on the runway may not be strong enough to actually hold your airplane in place. So when you're using the reversers while you are facing into the wind, then the reversers might actually pull you to the side of the runway, and therefore they can kind of be used to control that. Maybe that falls into Eurowings to Charlie, descending 260 at 2000 feet a minute. Throttle 260 blue. Vertical speed minus 2000. Alright, let's just do a little bit of a setup here. So, Atsu, ALC, Aegis, Berlin, arrival, send. So, Berlin information, Kilo, expect ILS, Zulu approaches 24 left and right, transition level 70, 220 at 14 knots, 10 kilometers, shards in the vicinity, scatter 3104 degrees, 1012. 1012 is set. Okay, cool. Then let's go ahead and start setting that up. 24 left is in here already.
Berlin for the Tango, contact Bremen 126, decimal 325. Bremen on 126, 325, Berlin for the Tango, danke dir, ciao. No.
Papa 1 Lima, then we need the arrival, no, the approach. Wireless, where is it? Zulu 2 for right is pinned, and Zulu 2 for left is now pinned as well.
This is Charlie Mike, continue and advance the Mike.
So, Xanem 3000, 3 degree glide, down to the minimum of 350, go around, straight at Delta Bravo 860 below 3000, left turn, 861, like that, 862, max 220, and then a cast off climbing 5000. That looks good.
Level 35. Level 350.
So, Berlin 2 for left, for the descent, 340 knots, looks good. Then, QNH 1012, temperature of 4, wind 220 at 13. Config 3. Landing flaps 3, this time I'm not gonna forget about it. And the minimum is...
Level 250 on rate, contact Bremen 124, 175.
Descent level 250 on rate 124175, Eurowings to Charlie, ciao.
Tschüss, schönen Abend.
Danke ebenso. Bremen, schönen Abend, Eurowings to Charlie, level 306, descending 250. Why is it reducing the speed?
Eurowings to Charlie, plane radar low identified. Descend to flight level 140 at 2000 feet per minute or greater.
Descending level 140 at 2000 feet a minute or greater, Eurowings to Charlie. Throttle 140 blue, vertical speed 2000. Alright, cool, so that stuff's in, then the minimum is 350. And the engine out acceleration altitude, let's see, MSA 24, and we're gonna use that. Alright, cool. So that's copied, then let's go for the secondary where we'll enter runway 24 right. Also with the ILS Zulu, the rest is unchanged. Well, we can use Novaya down there. Alright, cool. And for the secondary performance, let's see, 24 right. Minimum is 360. Like that, the rest is unchanged. Cool. So in both cases, auto brake low will do. And we do have a company message. So ADC for 3 minutes again. Yeah, we'll do the same that we did on the last flight. ADC, 3 minutes, other. Incorrect off block and send.
Eurowings to Charlie, contact Berlin arrival 119.630 by.
119.630, Eurowings to Charlie, schönen Abend. Okay, ADC received and 8 is kilo. Arrival, schönen guten Abend, Eurowings to Charlie, level 260, descending 140, 2000 feet a minute or greater, inbound, Barpov, 8 is kilo.
Eurowings to Charlie, Bremen radar, hello, standby. Eurowings 1 Echo Romeo, descend to flight level 70, speed 250 knots.
So, since the question came on the previous flights, let's go ahead and turn the dome light off already to start preparing for...
Charlie, Bremen radar, hello, identified, information kilo correct, expect ILS Zulu approach runway 24 left, descend to flight level 100.
Expect ILS Zulu 24 left, descending level 100, Eurowings to Charlie, any rate?
Eurowings to Charlie, maintain rate of descent 2000 feet per minute or greater.
2000 feet a minute or greater, Eurowings to Charlie. Okay, we can absolutely do that. Then let's do 330 knots and flutter 100 is blue. So, looking outside, see how awesome you can actually see everything outside when the dome light is off. So that just looks really good. Alright, engine anti-ice on. And then we'll also seat our passengers already. Let's also quickly say bye-bye to them. Liebe Gäste aus dem Cockpit, nochmal einen schönen guten Abend hier, Kapitän. Wir haben den Sinkflug nach Berlin begonnen, jetzt noch ca. 20 Minuten zu fliegen, erwarten dann eine pünktliche Ankunft in Berlin. Das Wetter aktuell, ein leichter Wind aus Südwest, die Temperatur 4 Grad und eine leichte Bewölkung. Wir bedanken uns ganz herzlich, dass Sie heute unsere Gäste waren, wünschen Ihnen einen schönen Aufenthalt, gegebenenfalls eine gute und sichere Weiterreise und freuen uns, Sie bald wieder an Bord eines unserer Flugzeuge begrüßen zu dürfen. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening again from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. We've started our descent towards Berlin with a remaining flight time of about 20 minutes. The weather in Berlin at the moment 4 degrees and a light wind from the southwest and a few clouds. Thank you very much for choosing Eurowings for today's flight. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did and we look forward to welcoming you again on board of a future service. Thank you very much for your attention and we hope to see you all again soon.
Radar, hello identified. Information kilo is current. Expect ILS approach runway 24 right, descend to flight level 100.
And ASAP, how do I know what to say in my PA announcements? Basically, PAs are always made up the same way, so what do the passengers want to know? They want to know the weather, mostly the temperature. They want to know when we land, are we on time or not? And all the rest is basically just thank you for flying with us, thank you for giving me your money. And that's pretty much it. So the vertical profile is approaching there, but that's just because of the level 120 or below restriction at Okbar, which we don't have to follow. We are not following the vertical profile of the arrival here, we are following the ATC instruction of 2000 feet a minute. So we can just continue this way.
Eurowings 1 Echo Romeo, descend to altitude 4000 feet, QNH 1012.
And Captain Overspeed, you thought overspeeding was your thing. Well, we aren't. We are 20 knots below the maximum.
6 Delta Echo, speed 250 knots or greater.
I just really want to be sure to make it to the gate while the event lasts. And the event lasts for another 21 minutes, so might as well keep the speed up high. So that we get to enjoy the controllers being online, the controllers get to enjoy the traffic being around. And Yannick, couldn't you use ODI? Yeah, we could. The reason I'm doing it this way is because in the real world we're using different codes. So in the real world, just Google for IATA delay codes, then you know exactly what we are using. So yeah, this is a very, very limited set there. Right, 090, Eurowings to Charlie.
Eurowings to Charlie, speed 250 knots.
Speed 250, can we reduce our rate to decelerate?
Eurowings to Charlie, affirm the normal rate of descent.
Normal rate, speed 250, Eurowings to Charlie. First idle, open descent, speed 250.
Descend to altitude 5000 feet,
And heading.
1012.
Descending to 5000 feet, QNH 1012, Eurowings diesel deck.
So let's just clean up the FMS for a bit.
Delta Echo, turn right, heading 200,
Right 200, Eurowings diesel deck.
Something like that.
Eurowings 1 Echo Romeo, speed 220 knots.
So I've just removed everything all the way to the base leg over here, which is where ATC is basically guiding us right now.
You're cleared for the TTAP 1 Lima arrival.
Your TTAP 1 Lima arrival, Canadian 1.
And Matt, yeah, this is a quick one indeed. 50 minutes. Flight time, about an hour block time.
Eurowings 2 Charlie, turn left heading 065, descend to flight level 80.
Eurowings to Charlie, left 065, descend flight level 80. Flight level 80, please.
Eurowings 1 Echo Romeo, turn left heading 070.
Left heading 070, Eurowings 1 Echo Romeo.
I really gotta say, I do like that Wing FCU. It's exactly the size of the real world plane, and just the ability to dial that stuff in with your hands rather than with a mouse wheel, that's so nice. And honestly, it's so cheap as well. IV230, does VATSIM have a particular...
Speed 220 knots.
Eurowings to Charlie, speed 220. Speed 220. So, IV230, does VATSIM have a particular policy about recording and streaming? They do. It's allowed. You can do it.
Arrival 121, 120.
And starts with F. Do I have the wing throttle?
Negative, decimal 130.
Decimal 130, Eurowings 1.
Just got it today. Not supposed to talk about it too much just yet, but you'll be getting a review of that soon.
Descent to altitude 6,000 feet, QNH 1012.
Was that for us? Well, he will repeat it if it was.
Descent 6,012, NSR 60 knots for readiness computer 2.
Renault 3302, affirm and
okay, it wasn't for us. Noel T, would it be more beneficial to choose more advanced English or leadership in school if I want to become an airline pilot? I would say go for the English, because leadership principles will be taught to you during your aviation training. However, you should have some basic skills there. So if you feel like totally incompetent in leadership, then probably go for that. Otherwise, I would go for the English, because English is just so incredibly important in aviation. And 200 wheels on rails. It's up to your channel. Thank you very much for that. Welcome. And yeah, we are doing quite okay today, at least ever since the simulator had a couple problems on the previous flight. And Z on the star, found myself a bit higher than the green dot altitude. Should I always put out the speed brakes to catch up? Well, that depends. I'd say the best you can do is to, well, look at the star. Are you going to have to fly all of it? Like, if you see a star like this, and you see yourself higher than the green dot, then I would probably get the speed brakes out. But if you've got a star that gets you straight in, then I might not worry as much, but most importantly, check if there are any hard constraints that you have to meet, then use the speed brakes. As you see, it's not always a very easy answer.
Eurowings 6 Delta Echo contact arrival 121.130 call sign only.
We can already pre-select that as well. 12113.
Eurowings 2 Charlie, turn right, heading 130, descend to flight level 70.
Right heading 130, descend flight level 70, Eurowings 2 Charlie.
Scandinavian 176.
Flight level 70 blue. Basically a vector into a nice base.
Speed 220 knots.
Speed 20, Scandinavian 1679.
AVX leader, Captain, big fan for a while now. Just wanted to ask if there is any other reason to use flaps 25 rather than 30 or flaps 3 than 4 other than to save fuel. Yeah, so I suppose you're talking about the 777 there with flaps 25. As a former 737 guy, I was a little bit confused because on the 737, 25 is not an approved landing config, but on the 777 it is. And yeah, there is another reason, and that's that the airplane may fly a little bit different. So when you're doing a config 3 landing or a flaps 25 landing, then you have more margin to the overspeed. So if you're in a really gusty situation, that may be something to consider. Then again, also consider that if you have more drag, you may be able to lose speed somewhat more easier than if you are using lower flaps.
Descent altitude for Scandinavian 83 Lima.
Scandinavian 83 Lima, descend to flight level 100.
Descent flight level 100.
And Michael Jensen, hey, nice to see you back.
For Scandinavian 83 Lima.
Scandinavian 83 Lima negative, it's ILS 2 for left.
And AVX leader,
ILS
when you are reducing speed to,
A3 limit.
or using
Eurowings 2 Charlie, descend to altitude 4,000 feet, QNH 1012.
Eurowings 2 Charlie, descend 4,000, QNH 1012. 4,000 blues at QNH. QNH 1012 cross check, passing 10,460
turn
now.
right, heading 100.
Alright, so using an intermittent flap setting when you are decelerating may either be standard operating procedure. For example, in the 737, when your landing flap setting is config 40, then after 15 it's SOP to go to 25 and then to 40. But even when the intended flap setting would be a non-standard setting, it may be useful to decelerate the aircraft or to help decelerating. So if you need some intermediate drag, then you may use it as well. Alright, going through 10,000.
Unrestricted, altitude 4,000 feet.
Lights, signs, EFIS.
Unrestricted descent 4,000, QNH 1012, Scandinavian 1679.
GPS primary, high accuracy, and the start selector is in norm. Approach checkers, please. So, Barrow F, QNH 1012, seatbelts on, minimum, Barrow 350, auto brake, low, engine, mode selector, norm, approach checklist complete.
That is arrival, hello, Ryzen 6 Kilo Whiskey, information Lima, descending flight level 10.
Michael, yes, I can absolutely recommend the Phoenix A320. It's really good simulation. Now the 319 and 21 are definitely recommendable as well. They come at a very good price point, and it's nice to see the differences in the models. For example, when you have the time to stick around until we're within our actual approach, you will see how difficult it is to decelerate an A319. So that's really something. But start with the A320, see how you like it, and if you enjoy it, if you think you've mastered it, then get the 19 and 21 as well, to get that additional challenge.
Eurowings 2 Charlie, turn left, heading 065.
Left 065, Eurowings 2 Charlie.
Scandinavian 1679er, turn right, heading
065.
Right, 190, Scandinavian
And IV230, I'm impressed how you can speak to us and just snap stop when you hear your call sign. Oh, believe me, we do that so much in the real world. At some point, you get a really good selective hearing, so that when you hear your call sign, you immediately stop.
1130 with arrivals call sign only.
It works just like that in the real world as well.
Eurowings 2 Charlie, contact arrival 121.130, call sign only.
121.130 with the full story of my life. Eurowings 2 Charlie, ciao.
Arrival, very good evening, Scandinavian 176.
176, arrival identified. Hello, turn right in 220, defense 3000 feet, cleared under full approach to for left.
Right turn 220, cleared for the LS runway 24 left and descend 3000 for Scandinavian 176.
Director, guten Abend, Eurowings 2 Charlie.
2 Charlie, status identified.
And Fuong, the performance of the Inibuild 350 is a little bit worse than the Phoenix. In the Sim Update 4 beta, it's actually not as bad anymore as it used to be in Sim Update 3, but it's certainly a little bit worse than the Phoenix. And Jedi 0405, what's the main reason for ATC not granting certain truce levels? The only reason that I can really think about...
Right heading 100.
Right heading 100, Eurowings 2 Charlie. The only reason I can really think about there is that there is either traffic at the levels or that there is any ATC internal restriction. For example, let's say that there is... let's say that, for example, there may be an airspace boundary at flight level 1... Or let's just take a practical example here from Germany. There is a boundary at flight level 245, so therefore level 250 is not available as a cruise level.
136, 105, confirm.
Correct. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 105. 136, 105, 1
speed, vertical speed. So let's have some fun.
Right heading 210. Clear the Apollo approach 2 for left, maintain 4,000 feet until established.
Eurowings 2 Charlie, right 210, descend 4000 to maintain, and cleared ILS 2 for left. So, heading 210. Alright then, let's have some fun.
Scandinavian 176, radio speed now 170 knots, maintain until 5 miles final.
170 knots until 5 for Scandinavian 176.
Eurowings to Charlie, radio speed 200 knots.
Speed 200, Eurowings to Charlie. So, activate approach phase, and manage speed. Cleared for the approach, lock blue. Needs a little bit more thrust than I thought.
Hello, Scandinavian 167.
Localize alive, lock star.
Scandinavian 1679, direct identified, hello.
And now we're getting glide slope signal as well. Cut 1, glide slope blue. I just armed the approach mode there.
Eurowings to Charlie, radio now 170 knots, maintain to 5 miles final.
170 until 5, Eurowings to Charlie. Flaps 1. Speed checked, flaps 1. Lock. Flaps 2. Speed checked. Flaps 2. Full speed 170.
Canadian 1679, turn right heading 140, descend altitude 3000 feet.
Descend 3000 right 140, Scandinavian 1679.
Man, hearing those engines is... that's a great sound.
Canadian 176, contact tower 118.805, goodbye.
Over to tower 1.
So let's pre-select that already.
Canadian 176.
So 118.805 is pre-selected.
Canadian 1679, turn right heading 220.
Look at how nice the aircraft flies.
Zulu 2 for left, Scandinavian 1679.
I just absolutely love the flight dynamics of the Phoenix. It became so good over time. Alt. When we compare this, what we have right now, with the initial release, you can really see how many advancements they've done. And IB230.
Contact tower 118.805, schönen Abend.
118.805, Eurowings to Charlie, ciao.
620 tower low.
Tower schönen Abend, Eurowings to Charlie, ILS 2 for left.
Eurowings to Charlie, Berlin tower, hello.
So, ground is pre-selected. So yeah, IB230. I do have a couple videos on how to practice your annual flying skills, but most importantly, don't get distracted. Think ahead, what might you have to do next? Like I pre-selected the tower frequency, because otherwise we might very well have gotten the handoff while we were intercepting the glide slope, and then it would be pretty clear you would be messing up. But this way, it's easy going. Glide slope star.
Eurowings 31 Alpha Papa, wind check 220 degrees, 13 knots, expect late landing clearance.
So initial go around is 3,000 feet, later on climbing 5,000 feet.
Hello, it's going to be 167, correction, it's going to be 167.
And let's go around altitude 5,007. Glide slow.
679er tower, hello. Eurowings 3 Charlie, traffic, Airbus A319, short final for left, report traffic inside.
Looking for the traffic, Eurowings 3 Charlie.
Oh, Eurowings 3 Charlie is on the frequency as well.
Down one Eurowings 6 Delta, full for
Traffic left behind Eurowings 3 Charlie.
Eurowings 3 1 Alpha Papa, runway 2 for left, clear to land.
2 for left, clear to land, wind 3-1 Alpha Papa.
I just love how well she flies. These flight dynamics are just so cool. So we got that speed until 5 DME. Can easily do that. Simao, yeah, Eurowings 3 Charlie is a subscriber. Starts with F as his username. Man, look at the lights, especially the city of Berlin on the right hand side there. This simulator has come such a long way, really. So, spoilers are already armed, lights are on, and we no longer need the anti-ice. Alright, get out.
2 Charlie, speed 150 knots or less.
We're reducing final, Eurowings 2 Charlie. Manage speed.
Eurowings 3 Charlie with 220 degrees, 1 knots, runway 2 for left, clear for takeoff, traffic
Speed
2
Flaps 3.
What good takeoff, Eurowings 3 Charlie?
2 miles. I would know that. We're at 5 miles. Landing checklist. Econ memo, landing no blue, landing checklist complete.
Scanner 176, expect late landing clearance.
Oh, there's still a Scandinavian. Okay. Well, that's something different. Didn't even have him on TCAS anymore. So, the wind is slowly dying off.
Scanner 176, 2 for left, clear to land.
Clear to land, 2 for left, 1.
That seems like a rather efficient use of the runway system. Speed is checked, correcting. You gotta be very careful not to overcorrect here.
0 degrees, 1 knots, expect late landing clearance.
Yo. So the wind is pretty much like it's going to be on the ground already.
Approaching 24 left.
Checked.
Eurowings 3 Charlie, contact trim radar 12060, ciao.
12060, Eurowings 3 Charlie, ciao.
Land.
Eurowings 2 Charlie, wind 220 degrees, 1 knots, runway 2 for left, cleared to left.
Runway 2 for left, clear to land. Eurowings 2 Charlie. Ah, that was no late landing clearance. That was normal.
Minimum.
Continue.
100.
Oh, hello, Etihad 409, established 2 for left.
Attempt 409, Benny, ciao, hello.
30, 20, retard. 5,
Yeah, A330 like flare up.
Tango, Air Tower, hello, traffic Airbus A319 on...
Spoilers, reverse green.
For left departure to side.
Decel.
Eurowings 57 Tango, behind mentioned traffic line up runway 2 for left, behind.
Manual brakes. 70 knots. Alright, welcome to Berlin.
Thank you, 31 Alpha Papa, sir, bye-bye.
Schönen guten Abend, Eurowings 2 Charlie, vacating 2 for left.
Eurowings 2 Charlie, Berlin ground. Gute, Taxi Romeo, Bravo, hold shot Victor 1.
Romeo Bravo, hold short Victor 1, Eurowings 2 Charlie.
Scandinavian 176, contact tower 12030, ciao.
Okay, so Bravo will be to the right.
Ready ground, good evening, Scandinavian 176.
Just, is it that first one? Those signs are looking a little bit strange. Come on, open the ground chart and do it quickly. No, Bravo's the second.
Hello, November.
That taxiway sign looked a little bit confusing there. But okay, it's the right-hand side, that's fine. Alright, so let's get her onto the taxiway and then...
12030,
Canadian 176, contact tower 120.030, ciao. 120.030, Canadian 176. Wings 2 Charlie, send for you tower 120.030, ciao.
120.030, Eurowings 2 Charlie, ciao. Hello, Eurowings 2 Charlie.
Eurowings 2 Charlie, tower, hello, where are you?
On Bravo, der Ground hat uns hierhin zurückgeschickt, ich glaube der schließt.
Achso, Eurowings 2 Charlie, ja, hallo.
That's always the best question for any controller to ask. Where are you?
Good evening, Canadian 176 on Bravo for parking. Canadian 176 tower, hello, taxi stand Delta 1 for now.
Alright, Elec hydraulic pump on, engine 2 shut off.
Oh, hello, November.
So, after landing checklist, radar predictive wind shear off, after landing checklist complete.
Lane 963, November tower, hello.
Yep. How do you know that we are in Germany? Because exactly at 10 PM, controllers start closing. So, think you said hold short Victor 2.
Hello, Scandinavian 1679 on Bravo. Scandinavian 1679 on tower, hello.
And Elton, could I talk a bit about why they said that Berlin-Brandenburg was a failure? Well, the problem is that it costs like $6 billion more than it was meant to cost. And by the time they finished it, the terminal was already too small. So, yeah, it cost like $7 billion to build instead of $1 billion that was originally scheduled, and it's already too small. That's the main reasons. And it took like 10 years longer to complete than what was originally planned.
Taxi stand up for 3 via Victor 3 and California Hotel.
Liebe Gäste, wir haben unsere Parkposition noch nicht erreicht. Bitte bleiben Sie also noch sitzen, bis die Anstandszeichen erloschen sind. Vielen Dank. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not reach our parking position just yet, so please do stay seated until the seatbelt signs have been turned off.
Victor 1 Echo stand Charlie 0.
Always important to make an announcement like that, especially after you've already shut an engine down during your taxi, because you can be sure that the passengers will simply be standing up.
Eleven 176, taxi distance Delta 14 via Victor 1.
And yeah, just looking into the chat, that was definitely an A330 flare. Flared at 40 and then kinda came level in 10 feet. That was definitely an A330 flare.
Eurowings 2 Charlie, taxi distance Charlie 04 via Echo. Correction Victor 1 and Echo.
Charlie 04 via Victor 1 and Echo, Eurowings 2 Charlie. Gute Nacht.
Good night. Also line 966 November behind, arriving, correction behind.
Okay, cool. So we go via Victor 1 and Echo, gate Charlie 4. So first left, first right, Charlie 4.
Tower, hello, Etihad Soldier 9 on Mike 5.
Let's see if we can get some ground services here. Charlie 4. No follow me needed. Handling by Visa.
Romeo Bravo and hold short Victor 1. Etihad Soldier 9.
And Charlie M. Well, that was no major ATC delay. That was okay. Just a minute or so standing here with lots of traffic. I can absolutely live with that. So the left is clear. He sounds a little bit unhappy. Okay, and then Echo is off to the right.
Governor 6, taxi right, Romeo, Bravo, and short of Victor 1.
Governor 6, can you repeat taxi instructions?
Governor 6, taxi Romeo.
Oh, lovely
Bravo,
thin air
and short of
A350
Victor
over
1.
there. Beautiful airplane.
Taxi right, Romeo, Bravo, hold short of Victor 1, Lufthansa 6.
So we're going to leave the APU off today, sparing that cycle so that we don't have to waste the maintenance cost. And then we will be using the ground power units straight away. Right, here's Charlie 1.
Victor 2 Alpha and Mike 8.
Charlie 2, we're looking for Charlie 4 today. Seems rather dark over here, so I am going to leave the taxi light on while turning onto the gate. In the real world it would probably be a little bit brighter.
Tower, guten Tag. 6 Golf, please vacate the runway taxi Romeo, Bravo, hold short of Victor 1.
Alright, and here's Charlie 4.
Gemini 468, contact departure 120.3 for Europa Bank.
120.40 confirm.
120.3 for Europa.
3 for the rock, thank you.
Okay, lights off. See, I told you it was dark.
Waterlay, no disregard.
Lufthansa 189 ready for push now.
The 189 pushback approved, tracing south, Victor 2.
Oh, come on, what are you doing down there?
Victor 2,
That's GSX marshalling at its finest once again. Alright, park and brake set, please get us the ground power units.
Airbus A350 behind.
So, ground services, GPU
3 Alpha via Victor 2.
Give way to Finnair A350 after that.
Cabin crew, hold on in
Bravo
park.
13 Alpha.
Alrighty, here we are. So, no strange ditches in any of the aprons over here. Alright, so the bacon is going off. Then let's wait for the slides to disarm. Here we go. One more, please. Here we go. Excellent. Okay, shutdown checklist, please. Park and brake. Well, the APU should be, the trucks should be in place by now, so park and brake off, engines off, wing light off, fuel pumps off, parking checklist complete. Alright, beautiful, here we are. And Simao, GSX is not using any of the official signage that we would be using, so I suppose there is not much sense trying to interpret whatever GSX is saying. Alright, so let's go ahead and secure the airplane already. Still deboarding though, so we still need the emergency exit lights, but kind of ready to turn off all the rest. Alright, good. So with that, welcome to Berlin. I do hope you guys enjoyed this one. Be sure to leave your feedback and comments underneath the video, and I really hope that you guys have enjoyed flying the A319 with me. Now, let's just have a quick look into the chat there, because during all the approach and landing and stuff, I didn't have too much time to there to read the chat, so let's just have a look. Diego, hi Manuel, do you have the SOP that changed the engine start? Not 100% sure if I do understand that question correctly. I did do a video about the changed SOP in regards to starting engine 1 before engine 2, or do you actually mean the single engine taxi out? If yes, then I did create a single engine taxi out guideline for the INI-built A330, which is pretty much applicable to the A320 family as well. You can find that one on flightsim.to. And AVX leader, can you just shut off engine 2 and connect the GPU for any aircraft without turning on the APU? Pretty much, yes. IV230, so what allows you to turn off the seatbelts? So the sequence in the shutdown is as follows. Once the engines are off, the pilot monitoring is going to make the call to the cabin, telling them to disarm the slides. Then as soon as the engines have run down, you are going to turn the beacon off, and as soon as the slides are all disarmed, then we turn off the fasten seatbelt sign, which is the indicator to the cabin crew that they're allowed to open the doors. The reason we do it this way is that because we want to cross-check that no slide is armed anymore by the time we clear the cabin to actually open the doors. That's a barrier to avoid accidentally shooting a slide. And Elton, if everything goes to plan, I hopefully have the PPL next summer. Would you say sending my license to VATSIM to get the rating there is a bad idea for the same reason you don't send yours? Well, let's be entirely honest. You got to know yourself how much your data security is worth to you. So if you want to run the risk that your license might go public, then by all means, if you think that having that virtual pilot rating inserted in your account is worth something, then do it. Personally, I don't really care if people can see any pilot rating on VATSIM. I mean, what do I gain from doing that? I don't gain anything, so for that reason I'm not gonna send my license to VATSIM. So it's a personal decision, but I think that controllers will notice how good or not you are when you are talking to them anyway, and then it doesn't matter if you've got any pilot rating or not. VATSIM ratings are worth something for controllers because it determines what they can control, but for pilots, I don't see any reason there. Really don't. And Elton, the thing is that I want to do CPL and ATPL etc. without wanting to take a PPL on VATSIM first. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, but ultimately, as mentioned, you'll have to know how much you trust the data security and how much of a problem you might end up with if your license goes public, because sure enough, I don't accuse anyone on VATSIM to share it intentionally, but we never know if they might eventually get hacked or something, and then the picture of your license might go public, so that's my point. And I mean, ultimately it's up to you to decide if you want to take that risk or not. I can really only share my own perspective on that. And Diego, I have a friend in Ryanair and they start engine 2 first, they don't do the engine 1 start modification. Yeah, I guess in Ryanair, respectively Lauda, it somewhat makes sense not to adopt that Airbus SOP, because the entire 737 fleet, which is like 600 aircraft, starts engine 2 first, and therefore Ryanair ground staff would be used to engine 2 starting first, and therefore doing it the other way around on the Airbuses would actually not make sense in Ryanair. But that's, you know, 600 737s versus 20 Airbus A320s. So then it actually makes sense, because the overall idea behind modifying that engine start SOP in the first place was to provide a unified, let's say a unified expectation among any staff involved, especially ground staff, regardless of which operator they are handling. But since Ryanair basically has their own handling staff, it kind of makes sense for them to keep the SOP that way. And Charlie, is the parking brake only released when the brake temperatures are above 500 or in all instances? We basically do it in all instances. Keep in mind that you might want to tow the aircraft to a hangar, for example, or to a different parking position. So if the parking brake is set, that's rather difficult. For that reason, we always release them when the chocks are in place. And even a brake that is not like 500 degrees hot can still use a little bit of cooling, because after all, the longer the brake is hot, the more the brakes are wearing down as well. So it does have an influence on all the materials involved. So therefore, the quicker it cools down, the better it is for the brake and the landing gear itself as well. And Harsh, yeah, you can do pilot ratings on VATSIM. Like, I don't want to call it PPL over here, because obviously you're not doing a real-world license on VATSIM, but there are virtual approved training organizations on VATSIM, mostly virtual airlines or VACCs, and just Google for those, see what's available near you, and then go for those, and just check what the local procedures is to do those licenses. And Nearthug, should I invest into 737 add-ons or A320 add-ons? Honestly, that is up to your own preference. You know, what I might consider is what type of operations do I want to do. For example, in Europe there will be more Airbuses. In the States there is, well, kind of 50-50 share right now. So really comes down to what you want to do with it. Alright then guys, I suppose that's gonna be it for today's flight, so I do hope that you enjoyed this one. Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on the channel, I'd appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and then I'm really looking forward to see you all again.